everyone, I'm Jake. Welcome to our channel, and today's video is about NSNP, Nova Scotia Nominee Program. In this video, I would be primarily focusing on the Nova Scotia Labour Market Priority Stream. So let's begin with the video right away. So talking about Nova Scotia Nominee Program, NSNP. This program has many streams like in-demand stream, express entry in-demand stream, but that is shut right now. Only category A is open in that, in which you need a job offer. So we are not talking about that. What we are talking about in this video is the Nova Scotia Nominee Program Labour Market Priority Stream, because that is the plan which is open right now. And in this program, you don't even need a job offer. So let's talk about this. So is this program your ultimate pathway to come to Canada as permanent residents? Does it have what you're looking for? Let's find out in this video. There are certain critical points in this program which I have discovered, and I'm going to discuss them towards the end of the video, because before that I want to talk about the eligibility criteria and how you can actually apply for this program. In order to apply for NSNP, you need to meet the minimum requirements specified in the 5 key areas of the eligibility criteria section. Number 1, letter of interest from NSOI, which is the Nova Scotia Office of Immigration. Number 2, additional draw specific eligibility criteria. Alright, now moving on to the next criteria, that is number 3, your work experience. Number 4, settlement funds, and number 5, immigration status. Now these are the 5 main criteria to be eligible for NSNP. Now let's break them down in detail. Now let's talk about the number 1 criteria for eligibility to apply for NSNP, and that is the letter of interest. Now this letter of interest is sent to you by the NSOI, the Nova Scotia Office of Immigration. It will be sent to your IRCC account. To receive this letter of interest, number 1 thing is that you need to have a valid express entry profile. Number 2, you need to meet labor market priority specified by Nova Scotia. Point number 3 is that you have shown interest in your express entry profile to work and settle down in Nova Scotia. So these are the 3 key points which are taken into account to send you the letter of interest by Nova Scotia Office of Immigration. Now, the second eligibility criteria that we talked about was the additional draw specific criteria. Now, what is draw specific eligibility criteria? Let me explain it to you in detail. So on the 4th of September 2019, the Nova Scotia Labour Market Priorities held a draw in which letters of interest, which is LOI, were issued to 204 express entry candidates who have selected French as their first official language and have a Canadian language benchmark score of 8 or higher in French in all language abilities, have English as a second official language with a Canadian language benchmark score of 6 or higher in English in all language abilities, hold a bachelor's degree or have completed a program of 3 or more years at a university, college, trade, or technical school or other institute, have a valid express entry number, and meet all IRCC criteria for the express entry pool. Now, draw specific requirement means that according to the labor market's priorities stream, the demand in Nova Scotia, what is the demand of the labor market? Every draw has its own eligibility criteria. So this draw specifically was based on these eligibility criteria, and people got the invite based on these terms and conditions. So every draw will have a different criteria. We never know before it is released. Now, the third point on the eligibility criteria is your work experience. So it means that all applicants who are applying for Nova Scotia Labour Market Priority Stream must demonstrate that they meet the minimum eligibility criteria for work experience under their express entry profile for the stream in which they have created their express entry profile. Like Federal Skilled Worker Program, if you have created your profile under that, then you check all the eligibility requirement in relation to your work experience. Let's talk about point number 4, which is the settlement funds. Now, when you apply for Nova Scotia Labour Priority Stream, it is extremely important that you demonstrate you have sufficient funds to support yourself and your family when you establish yourself in Nova Scotia. Now, what is the required fund? How much money do you need as per your family size, and also under the stream in Express Entry where you created your profile. I'm providing the link below in the description. On the IRCC website, you can go and check the amount of funds which is applicable as per your particular situation. Also, important point here to note is that NSOI will not send a letter of interest to an applicant who falls below Statistic Canada's low income cutoff level, which means that your income, the family income, must fall within that level. I'm going to put the link in the description for IRCC website. You can check as per your family income if you meet the criteria or not. Alright, moving to point number 5, which is the immigration status. In order to apply for Nova Scotia Labour Market Priority Stream, you must have a legal status in your country of residence when you're applying for this visa. You are also ineligible to apply under NSNP if you are under any kind of removal order from Canada, or if you are prohibited from being in Canada or entering Canada. In case of people who are in Canada under a work permit, their work permit must be valid at the time of applying for NSNP. Alright, so those were the 5 main criteria when it comes to eligibility to apply for NSNP. Now let's talk about the application process. There are few important points which you have to keep in mind, otherwise your application might get rejected. Starting with number 1. After you receive your letter of interest from Nova Scotia Office of Immigration on your IRCC online account, you have 30 calendar days to apply under the Nova Scotia Labour Market Priority Stream. To apply, you must submit your application under the Nova Scotia online service on this website address, and make sure that you submit all required supporting documents. I'm also going to give you the checklist of supporting documents in a few minutes. Now, there will also be a list of supporting documents for draw specific eligibility criteria, and that would be given on this website address. You can write down this link. All your supporting document must be provided in the PDF format. So basically it means you will have to scan all your paper documents, convert them into PDF file, and also your electronic documents you will have to convert them into PDF format. And make sure that all your document must be clear enough to read. Now there are certain guidelines which you must keep in mind. Number 1, documents with images must be scanned in color. Text only documents can be scanned at grayscale, that is black and white, to reduce the file size. Scanner resolution should be of minimum 300 dots per inch. No enhancement or editing should be done to the scanned documents. The total size of all documents should not be more than 50 MB. The file names of attachment must not be more than 50 characters. When any of your document is not either in English or in French, in that case you must submit the original document and the certified translation of the original document as well. Also, NSOI will only accept translation by certified translators. The translator must be certified by a regulatory body. They should not be the family member or spouse of an applicant. And the applicant must also provide proof of translator's ability through their certification. So that was the basic application process. Now I'm just going to give you the checklist for all the documents that you will need for this application purpose. So kindly write them down. Number 1, copy of the letter of interest. When you receive your LOI, make sure in your application you submit the copy of LOI. Supporting documentation in relation to draw specific eligibility criteria. The list of documents will be provided on the official website. Check this website whenever you're planning to apply for this, and you will get the document checklist on this link. Settlement fund. Official banking statement from the financial institution for the last 3 months indicating the accounts and the transactional history. Statements for investment portfolios or fixed deposit, and the terms and conditions for withdrawing these funds prior to maturity. Now the last one, the supporting document for immigration status. Valid passport copies of all accompanying family members, and also if there is any previous visa or visit to Canada. In case you're living in some other country other than your country of origin or your country of birth, in that case you will provide with the legal visa or work permit for the country in which you currently live. Correspondence from previous attempts to immigrate to Canada, it could be through provincial or federal immigration categories. Alright, so now we are done with all the good parts of this program, and it looks promising. They in fact gave more than 200 letter of interest to Express Entry profile applicants on 4th of September 2019. But now let's talk about some critical points which makes this program not so attractive. Number one, the NSOI reserves the right to close or suspend the intake of applicant for NSNP at any time. Regardless of when an application is submitted, NSOI may decline to consider applications in closed or suspended stream. So no matter when you submitted your application, when the program was open also, but if they plan to shut it or close it, even then your application will not be considered. Second critical point, the stream criteria may change anytime, which means that at the time when you applied for it, you met all the criteria, but later on, if the stream criteria change and any of the criteria in which you do not fit, you will be rejected because your application will be assessed as per the most recent criteria of the stream, no matter if you qualified for it when you submitted, but if in according to the updated criteria you do not qualify, you will be rejected. So all in all, this program is like take it or leave it. I mean, of course, when you want to come to Canada and you're not getting through any program, then there's no harm in at least putting your application and leave it to the chance. If you qualify and you'll get your PR. But it's not like a concrete plan, in my opinion, that you will definitely get through it. It all depends on a matter of chance. So that was my take on NSNP. If you guys have any suggestions or any doubts or questions, you can put them in the comment section and I'll see you next time.